so much like to joining the webinar today, and I'll briefly talk over today about the Counter Release 5. And during the webinar, please like to raise your hands for the questions or use the chat box. And if you cannot answer any of the questions, we'll be sure that we'll review it and answer those questions as well. And Lorraine, thank you so much for the kind introduction. And I want to start with the little bit Counter and a little bit history as well. Counter is a nonprofit organization supported by global community members, and Counter is one of the first standard organizations established for providing the standards for counting the modern electronic information resources. Counter Code of Practice is developed by community members who works together through the working group and subgroups. And again, like I was the one of the member groups, like the work with developing Counter 5. And again, I cannot get any credit for it because they were amazing people in that leading all that Counter 5. Could you also please like to mute yourself that you hear some echoes? Counter Code of Practice provides a framework and standards for recording and exchanging electronic statistics. Standards define data elements to be used. If you are not please yourself, I feel like a lot of echoes from my end. Again, I was just mentioning that Counter Code of Practice provides framework, and this frameworks and standard defines data elements to be measured and provides relevant metric attributes and their definitions, and informs how those metrics and data elements to be formatted and reported. The Counter standard was originally developed in 2002 to provide guidance on consistent and credible usage data for librarians. The main goal was providing information to librarians to analyze and compare their usage across different publisher content. Today, academic libraries often use Counter reports to make informed renewal decisions based on data-driven information. On the other hand side, Counter reports weren't originally developed to be used by publisher. However, today we are seeing that many publishers are increasingly using Counter reports to provide reliable and consistent usage to their customers. Additionally, publishers and vendors are paying close attention to their client usage in order to provide most relevant content to their client and user needs. So, as I mentioned earlier, community members through working groups develop code of practice. I am fairly new to the Counter organization. However, I had a great pleasure working with most amazing people almost 2 years in the development of Counter Release 5. In here, I wanted to thank Lorraine and Oliver for leading the Counter Technical Advisory Group. And I wanted to thank all members for their contribution to the society. Indeed, this community spends countless hours in the development of new code of practice to address new reporting needs. And why Counter Release 5? So the first code of practice was released in January 2003. The initial release focused on journal and databases. Since the first release, it's over 15 years now. In order to respond to the new technological developments and addressing the new reporting needs, Counter Code of Practice added more reports, new formats, and metric types. This natural growth increased complexity, and also it reduced consistency among the reports. As a result, complaints became more difficult for publishers, and the other content providers, and analysis became more challenging for libraries. To address the compliance challenges, in 2016, Counter launched a survey about the current Counter for usage reports. Based on the survey results from the community, Counter started working on a new code of practice. This new code of practice was focusing on reducing the complexity of the reports, increasing consistency and clarity of the metric types, reports, and reporting formats. So to provide this consistency, the main goal in the Code of Practice 5 was creating a healthy balance between addressing changing needs and reducing the complexity of the current Code of Practice to ensure publisher and content providers are able to achieve compliance. To achieve higher consistency, Counter 5 reports adopt same reporting layouts and formats. You will see on the sample reports in the later slides, Counter 5 report uses consistent header and detailed information across all reports. Reports also use consistent and relevant and applicable metrics. And simplicity. In Code of Practice 5, 36 reports in Release 4 reduced to 4 master reports. And again, it wasn't an easy process, like looking at the 36 different reports in Code of Practice 4, which is current release, and simplify these reports into the 4 master reports. In addition to this, to ease the access, most common use report, Counter Release 5 designed 12 preset standard view reports. These reports are derivatives of the master reports. User could retrieve them without taking extra steps or applying any modification on the master reports. Counter 5 reports simplifies metric types by using fewer metric types and simplify usage attributes by using simplistic definitions. And flexibility and transparency on the report. I think this is one of my favorite subject. I use data almost every day and every hour, and it's very important to analyze the metrics in flexible way. And to achieve those, Counter Release 5 like to introduce major master reports. However, there is no one-size-fits-all principle in data. In Release 5, comprehensive reporting attributes in master reports enable users to generate necessary and needed drill-down reports. Master reports bring quite detailed usage information into the reports. This empowers end user to get more granular reports. User could further investigate whole or one specific portion of the data. Again, in Counter 4 reports, they were quite canned reports, you couldn't see any further details. And Counter 5, I would say is break those change and bring the data in the light. And clarity. Unlike the Release 4, Code of Practice 5 uses clear and consistent terminology across all reports. This is also true for all metric types. And new Code of Practice uses clearly defined attributes. And we are gonna talk about a little bit more reporting types. And as mentioned earlier, Release 5 report consists of 4 master reports. This is reduced from 36 reports from the current Code of Practice. These 4 master reports cover a wide spectrum of activities, and these reports are intended to be customizable through the filters and other configuration options to allow users to create a report specific to their needs. So again, detailed reporting functionality is great, but sometimes user needs to access certain reports quickly. Master reports can be challenging where data can be very large to process. In order to ease of use each of the master reports are accompanied with one or more preset standard view reports. These are summarize all of the particle types and activities such as full text usage or access denied. In here you can see master and item master reports, database master reports and item master reports has accompanied with two reporting types, and platform master report has one accompanied report, and title master report has seven accompanied reports. We briefly talk about reports, and we'll go through a little bit in details in metric types in this section. Let's look at the metric types and attributes that consist Release 5 reports. Metric type identifies user activities and their nature around content. Metric types describe the activity being counted in reports. In Counter Release 5, there are 3 activity groups reported. These are investigation and request, access denied, and search. Metric type attribute is used in all count reports and standard views. So how those metrics types divide into each section? And we mentioned about like the investigation and request, and what are those? What's the investigation and what's the request? And investigation is intent to measure user expression of interest for an item or a title. Investigations reports user action on part of an item or information about the item, or it could be item by itself. For example, abstract is a portion of the whole content, and viewing the abstract is one of the investigation metric. With the same token, if you are seeing the full text content, that could be also investigation. During this metric types, there are 3 additional reporting elements. These are total item investigation, unique item investigation, and unique title investigation. So total item investigation, one of the beauty in the counter files, basically those metric types define by itself as well. The total item investigation is the number of total of times a content item was accessed. Unique item investigation is the number of unique content being accessed, and unique title investigation reports the number of unique titles. And we briefly talk about investigation. What about requests? Request is specifically related to viewing or downloading the full content item. And this is intent to report the number of requests on full text content. So differentiation in here, investigation, it could be either a portion of the content or full content. However, request has to be viewing the whole content or accessing full text content. Again, this metric types comes with the 3 elements: total item request, unique item request, and unique title request. This is similar principle as we talked about earlier. Total item records the number of total item viewed as a full text or like the whole content. Unique item like the request is number of unique content, and unique title request, it reports like the unique titles on this reporting metrics. So I hope like I can explain this a little bit further in this slide, which is this metric types area. I commonly get question from my colleagues. Usually I get question, what's the investigation and what's the request? What are the differentiation? So if I briefly explain in here, investigation measures user expression of interest for an item or a title. And requests are really about accessing actual content, such as if you are looking for the counter force, full text could be the request item, and either full text content or portion of the content could be in the investigation. If I could summarize it, full text content requests are counted both in investigation and request. However, user actions on a part of content such as abstract views is only counted in investigation. So I'll go with a couple examples. Hopefully these are clarified a little bit further. What's the investigations and what's the request? Let's have one actor, Susan, in here. Susan is researching on a publisher platform. From a list of search results, she opens 3 articles, and these are as an abstract views and a 1 video record. From all 4 those records, certainly different, but 2 of the articles are from the same journal title. So basically, she did a search and she got the total 3 abstracts and 1 video recording, and 2 of the abstracts coming from the same title. If we look at the counts in here, we'll see total item investigation will result as 4. You'll see the 3 abstract and video content. This is total item investigation. Unique item investigations will be 4 as well, because each of the content in here are unique. And unique title investigations will be 3, because 2 of the abstract you'll see in the yellow color coming from the same title. And after reading the abstract, Susan downloads the PDFs for 2 of the articles, both from the same journal. The counts changed too. So she read the abstracts of the same journal title, and she decided downloading 2 full text articles. So overall count, total item investigations will be 6. Basically, if you count each element on the picture, you'll see the 6 elements in here. So that will be total item investigation 6. Unique item investigation will be 4. The reason is that the full text article and abstracts you see in yellow, they are coming from the same content. Therefore, each yellow will count 1, right? So we'll have the 4 unique item investigations. If you look at the unique title investigations, that will be 3, because 2 of the full text and 2 of the abstracts coming from the same title. Basically, if you just count colors in here and video, will be 3 title investigations. And what about total item request? Since she downloaded 2 full text articles, total item request will be 2. Unique item request also will be 2, because these 2 full text article, they are different UIs or different content. So unique item will be 2. Unique title request will be recorded as 1. So let's talk about a little bit access denials. Access denials are also known as turnaways, where user try to access a content which is that request to return as a denied, due to either user doesn't have a subscription to a content or user exceeded allowed limits. There are 2 metric types in here, no license and limit exceeded. No license meaning user or user institution doesn't have a license to access that content. Limit exceeded meaning like the user institution or user have a limited access to content. However, when that person tried to access the content, that content is not available due to exceeding the limits. Couple examples in here too. Susan is researching the history of antibiotics on publisher platform. From a list of search results, she opens 3 article abstracts and 2 video records. She intended to view video records. However, her institution hasn't subscribed to the video database, and she is therefore denied access. Cons are, in this case, it will be no license to, and limited exceeded is 0 because her institution doesn't have any subscription or license for the content. Let's think about like she is still on the platform and looking for the other records, and 5 minutes later she repeats her attempt to access the video records, and in that case like the no license will be increased to 3 because like she doesn't have access for that video content. This is an example for limit exceeded. Susan is researching the history of antibiotics on publisher platform. From a list of search results, she opens 3 article abstracts and 2 video records. She intends to watch both video records. Her institution has a limited subscription to the video database, and Susan's usage is exceeding that cap when she was requesting those content. In that case, limit exceeded will be 2 because she tried to access those twice. So there are 4 different types of search metrics in release 5. These are search regular, searches automated, searches platform, and searches federated. So these are usually reported in the platform reports and also database reports. And searches regular and searches automated, I would like to get your attention on those. Searches regular is counted the number of times users searches a database where they have actively choosing that database, or there's a single database on the search. On the other hand side, search automated is involved with the multiple database where user doesn't actively choose any database. So for example, if your institution has one single database and search in here will be added into regular. However, an institution has multiple databases, user doesn't actively selecting one database, they will be counted as an automated. So what happens if user actively choosing a database? Then when you have multiple database, then they should be recorded in search regular. Searches platform is a metric item that like to shows how many times search occurs on a platform, and search federated is indicating numbers whenever federated search engine services involved into the search. So there's a couple examples in here. Susan is researching the history of antibiotics on a publisher platform, which includes multiple databases. She runs a search for history and antibiotics. The counts are. So if you look at in here in the sentence, it says multiple databases. However, Susan doesn't select any one of them intentionally. So she conducted a search on the platform, which is searches platform will be 1, and searches automated will be 1 too, because there are multiple databases involved in that search, and search regular and search federated will be 0. Next example, then this she follows up like that search results, and Susan then selects the history of medicine database and reruns her search. The counts are, so in this case, she is selecting a specific database. Then this action will be count as an search regular, and you'll see like the one number will be added in the search regular, and searches on the platform will increase to 2. And this is maybe copying what we talked a little bit earlier with the investigation and search. And this is an example last week we get in the technical group and we discussed through, and it would be a good example to discuss all of them, and I added in recently that example. In that case, Susan searched for comedy plays on a publisher platform. She gets a list of comedy plays on the search result page. From the search result list, she clicks on a production A that opens a new tab. On the production A page, there are many links related to content such as fragments, interviews, or like the biographies, along with the actual video content. Susan clicks 5 unique links on the production A page, and then she reads the content related to production before playing the video. Then she clicks on play and she watched the whole video. After she finished the video, she goes back to the search result page and clicks on production B. In that case, counts are, so she was on the platform and she searched for comedy plays. So since this search didn't involve multiple databases, so it will be one regular search and also one platform search. So I believe like that this is clear in this case. And let's look at her action. And initially she she clicks on the production A page and she sees it, and she clicks 5 different links on the production page. And then she played the video, and later on she went back to search result page and clicked on the production B. So number of the total item investigation in here, basically you can count each element on the slide, and this will be 8, including full video view. And unique item investigations will be 7, because full video content and production A page, they are the same content. And unique title investigation will be 2, because there are 2 titles involved in this production A and production B. Let's look at the total item request. Again, as we told, like the requests are only involved with the full content view. In this case, like there is only one video viewed, and in this case, total item request will be 1. Unique item request will be also 1, and unique title request will be 1. Data types. So this is the other section in the data types. Data types identifies the general type of the content being accessed or used. And in here, data types, in this case, it could be article, book segment, could be data sets, and journal, and multimedia actions. So this reports what type of content is user access, either is a book chapter or book segment or individual article. And section types, and that was the case that like we were getting a lot of questions in release 4, especially on the book reports. Books can be a chapter, a single item, or whole book, or a section. So section types identifies whether content is delivered in chunks or item level. For example, articles are itemized level. However, book could be in a section that might be contain multiple articles, chapters, and chunks of content. So section types identifies and clear what type of content is being accessed. Access type. And access type describes the nature of access control is that was in place when the content item was accessed. So in that case, you would be aware of many times publishers publish the open access content or subscription-based content. So that indicates if the content being in controlled or open access format, which is called open access gold. So this tells the end user if the content being in control or open access environment. So there are two additional access types in here, either free to read. This is only applicable for the repositories only. And also we have been discussing about open access delayed. And this is not in release 5, initial release at this moment, and we are still discussing how we could release those. The reason is that it could be some content, it could be under the embargo for certain type of period, and during that time is that content is being controlled. However, after the embargo period is over, that content is being available to public. So we would like to see those metrics as well. However, we couldn't deploy that one in the initial release. And access method. In release 4, counter reports are only reported for regular usage. Any data and text mining reports would not added into counter reports. Those reports usually generated separately if there's an agreement between institution and vendor or publishers. There's an increasing interest in data and text mining, and it's commonly used at this moment. So counter release 5 introduced additional access method type, regular versus TDM. So regular is usage generated by a human, and TDM is generated by the machines or TDM activities. So this will be differentiate the origin of the usage. Year of publication. And as many cases like this, both librarians and also publishers use the year of publication to identify if that content being archived or not, or it could be certain different deals. So this is an important metric to understand, and also important metric to understand for the publishers too. What's the usage of the recent published content or the published content in a year before, and or 2 or 3. And so year of publication is indicates when the cover year is published. And release 5 reports. And this is a segmented report for the title report. As I mentioned earlier, there are 7 different reporting types. And I just want to have a little bit attention in here, report IDs and what the reports mean in the title report, this is the most commonly used reporting element. So as title reports include both book usage and also journal title usage reports. And its reporting ID is start with the initial from the title report, basically shows what's the main master report of the report, and the second attributions come from what that segmented reported mean. In TRB B1 is meaning like the book title usage excluding open access usage, which is gold open access usage, and TRB2 reports for access denied, and TRB3 is book usage by access type. So this is a little bit more comprehensive usage report that includes both open access usage and control usage. It's very similar to journal release report, journal request reports, TRJR1, TRJR2, TRJR3, and one additional report for journals, which is requested by year of publication. This is introduced as an JR4, TRJR4. And before I move through the reporting elements, I wanted to point out like the one differentiation between counter release 4 reports and release 5 reports. If you are familiar with counter release 4 reports, the header is quite simple and it can be changed in the different reporting titles, or metric types can be changed depending on the metric types. So, however, one changes in here in counter 4, HTML usage and PDF usage used to be reported separately. So that will be reported together in release 5. So basically, instead of like the HTML and PDF full text usage, that will be summed into total item request. And again, you see the header, it will be include all detailed information in release 5. One other changes in release 5 usage, and it is a mandatory to report 0 title usage in release 4. However, it is not mandatory anymore in release 5, and Counter is working with NISO to create like the standards for KBAR reports. In that way, institution would have some information about what type of subject or content or collection they subscribe from the publishers and vendors. And we briefly talk about like the consistency, and Counter 5 reports hold consistent header, consistent details on report,
Senol, I hope you can hear me. We have a problem with your sound.
Okay, did you lose me?
We did lose you just for a bit at the beginning of that slide, Senol, but we can hear you again now.
Thank you. Should I go back one slide, or I can start from here?
I think you're fine from that slide, yeah.
Okay. So in here, this is title report J1 and has like the consistent header. It's have the values and details and metric types. One more example is similar title report J2 is same. Is only thing is changed like the header values and detail reporting. And master reports, we talk about like the flexibility in master reports, and this is a markup for the master report interface. And that master reports like to give a flexibility and control over to end user. Basically, end user could create like certain filtration and get out any reports they need. For an example, in here, user could enter any usage date, metric type, data type, access type, and access method, and year of publication, and it will include those into the columns or not include them, and also they can get like the monthly details or overall some details. How we could use this one, again, this is mockup. And if we are looking for a usage in 2017, we can enter a usage date starting from January 1st till like the December 31st in 2017. We are looking total item request counts. And if you wanted to include that one into the column, we check the column. And our data type is journal. We are looking for the journal usage. And we wanted to see the control usage, like basically how much usage on your subscription materials. And again, access method is regular. If you submit those, it will generate those reports to you. So that brings the most flexibility in master reports. And Sushi for counter release 5, and this is the one element that counter release 5 is adapting next generation Sushi Sushi Lite, and it's release 5 is moving away from like the SOAP based information exchange to like the RESTful interface, returning to JSON files. And I'm quite excited about this initiative. The reason is that JSON files are very familiar with the web developers and application developers. And if you recall the JSON files to your application, you can easily create like the dashboards or like the certain applications. So those application and dashboards could provide like the further details to the end user with the insights. And how is the JSON file structured? Is again, you'll see a bunch of codes in here. It looks like they're really busy. However, it makes so much sense for like the computers and like the applications. So in here there's a clear report header with the values. And also in the same JSON file will provide like the reporting items in the details. And when we look at the values, those information also embedded in there. So getting the JSON files, it can be easily to convert different formats, or it can feed into applications. And counter 5 implementation and transition. So right now, it's counter release 5 optional starting from August 17 to December 18, and it will be mandatory starting from January 2019 for the compliant publishers, and it will be moving forward to mandatory. And what will happen to counter 4 reports? So providing counter 4 reports is mandatory till end of April 2019 for the publishers, and it can ease like transition to release 5 reports if a vendor or publisher could provide like the previous 2 years of report in release 5. So, and its deadline for like the moving into release 5 will be January 2021. And that's said, and if you have any questions, and please like email Lorraine. I believe Lorraine, you would kindly receive those, and we can have like further discussion about those questions. And please check Counter website. There are a lot of like the great documentation, and again, team work very hard. Again, I cannot get any credit for it, but it's there are a lot of useful, friendly information, technical information, release 5, and many webinars. And follow us on the Twitter, and you can be like, your feedback is much appreciated, because this is a community organization and is not demanded by anyone or like any certain organization. So we would like to address any issues or problems. And thank you all so much.
Thank you, Senol. I'm sure, Senol, you're ready to answer some questions if we have some. Do we have any questions, either please unmute to speak or put your questions in the chat box. No, we haven't got any questions yet. Obviously, it was very clear, Senol. We'll just wait a few moments in case anybody does. Okay, well, nobody seems to have any questions, which I think must be a good thing. If you do decide, having reflected on the webinar, that there are questions that you have that we can answer, please do send them to me, and I will. I probably won't be able to answer myself, but with our technical group, I will be able to put together an answer for you. We do have one question that's just come through. Thank you for the presentation. Is there any live Counter5 interface like the screenshots you showed where we can run the sample data? Yeah, really good question. We don't have anything like that at the moment, where you can run reports on the sample data. Only a testing tool for release 4, but we are working on a testing tool for release 5, so that will be coming. So yeah, we'll make sure people are aware when we have it up and running. Okay, well, I think that's it. I'll just give it another moment if anyone has a question. Doesn't look like it. Well, thank you everybody for attending. And oh, hey, wait, IEEE. How is your REST service protected? Is that protected? Not quite sure I understand the question. Do you know what this means?
I believe the question is the security related, and as again, like I'm not like too technical about it, and I do believe it will be two-factor authentication on here, and it's currently like the most advanced protected environment. Again, like I am not a technical person on that, as however, its protection is a little bit better for a soap-based system.
Okay. I guess, Senol, we could ask some of the sushi people, could we?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll try and do that, IEEE, and we will get back to you with some detail on that. So thank you for raising that question. Yeah, I think that looks like it for the questions. As I say, anything else, please do email them, and Sal and I will definitely try and get back to you. Thank you all so much for your time, for attending. We very much look forward to speaking to you again soon. Oh, who's that? Oh yeah, we will have we will have a copy of the slide deck for you as well as the recording. Yeah, thanks for reminding me to say that. We'll make sure that's available to everybody.